only place to be in terms of our diversity, in terms of our culture.
If there's one continent on every traveler's bucket list, it's Africa. Cultural heritage, diverse landscapes, flora and fauna, and delicious food. Africa has a charm that just pulls you in. We speak today to Cuthbert NcubeChairperson, I hope I've got that right, the chairperson of the African Tourism Board, about all things Africa. Hello, Cuthbert. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced your last name, but hello, it's so good to have you here on the show with us today.
Thank you, Neha. It's my pleasure. It's my honor once again to actually be on your platform and on your program. I'm looking forward for a very progressive engagement. As you have said, look, Africa is the only place to be in terms of our diversity, in terms of our culture.
Correct. Yes. Great. So can you tell me a little bit about the African Tourism Board and your role there to start off?
Thank you so much. My role is simple. I'm just a connector, bringing the dots together. Mm-hmm. What we have realized, Africa, 54, 55 member states, in our diversity, with so much flora, with so much, to share, we are saying we complement one another. Each member states complement one another. Imagine a situation where we are all regrouped together in one pot in our diversity and contribute and share what we have. This is a dynamic continent that needs to actually be realigned and be appreciated, playing a pivotal role within the global community. Yes, African Tourism Board is a voice of unifying Africa's diversity, on unifying the opportunities we have in terms of investment and also in terms of tourist attractions. This is the jewel of the world. We're talking of Africa. When you talk about our diversity in our cultures, and by the way, we will be actually participating in celebrating the diversity, the conference in Zanzibar that will be hosted end of this month, where we are bringing together a number of global pioneers within the travel sector, within the investment sector, to say, let's group together. Now is the time to break the shackles that has actually conditioned and separated us and kept us indoors during the past 2 years. It's time to come out of the shackles and say, look, let's move on. Let's go back to our lives. Let's appreciate what God has done and God has given us. So African Tourism Board is a unifier of saying, how do we come together as a continent? How do we regroup together as a block of nations and start selling our diversity? And by the way, the world has become so shrinked. That's why they are talking of, that's the term they are used within the tourism space, to say the world has become a global community. Tourism, it's all about bringing us together. Tourism, it's all about our smiles. Tourism, it's all about appreciating one another. So Africa stands as a beacon of hope to the whole world, especially after the COVID pandemic. We are saying the doors are open, business is open. So as African Tourism Board, we are saying, let's reshape and let's rebrand and market Africa as the preferred destination of choice. So that's what we do as African Tourism Board.
Okay, that's great. That's actually a very beautiful vision that you have, and I hope that you all successfully come through with your plans. The second question I have is, how do you maintain a spirit of collaboration over competition between the different member states, the member countries within the African Tourism Board?
Look, when we look the past, we have remained segmented. Mm-hmm. Each member state does what he does best, and that has been the spirit of competition. But the lockdowns, they've actually brought us together as a continent where we are saying, can we look within? Let us promote our domestic. When we talk about domestic, yes, we're looking at each member state, but we're looking at beyond the domestic in the tourism sector, where we are saying within the region, that's our domestic. Within the continent, that's our domestic. We have learned a lesson when the global world, the other continents, they closed doors to Africa. And Africa was left to fend for himself or for herself. So that has been a turning point of saying, can we move and shift for a competitive point of view to an inclusive approach when we promote our destinations, when we promote our investment within the African context. So we are actually advocating of saying, how do we complement, how do we start appreciating each and every member state, and by the way, respecting our diversity in culture? How do you bring them together? How do you put the puzzles so that at the end of the day, we are able to call on what we have within the context of Africa?
Wonderful. That's nice. Yeah. So how big is the team at the African Tourism Board, and what are the different elements that are involved in running this organization?
Look, we have a wider team because when we talk about teamwork, we are not talking of the executive board, but we look beyond those we have contributed, those who are contributing. And by the way, maybe to give enlightening how the composition of the African Tourism Board, it was a dream that was actually formulated from the offset by the former Secretary General of the United Nations World Tourism Organization, Dr. Taleb Rifai, who has been the backbone of this organization. We have individuals like the Minister of Tourism in Kenya, Honorable Minister Balala, who has been very instrumental in shaping the destiny of this organization. We have got the minister from Sierra Leone. We have got the minister from Eswatini. We have actually championed and brought African Tourism Board in the African doors, where the government of Eswatini has actually commissioned this great movement to the extent of affording in contributing even the operating offices in Eswatini. So we have a number of strategic partners we have regrouped together to really drive the African agenda. And within the context, we have ambassadors who have been appointed to really spearhead from the grassroots, talking to the member states in their individual nations where they are, to really bring us together, closer together. So we have ambassadors who are spread across not only in the continent, but beyond the continent. We have ambassadors in the United States, we have ambassadors in as far as Iran, we have ambassador in Israel. So we have said tourism is all about bringing people together, but the objective is to say the inequalities that has existed for so long. That's why Africa is always referred as the underdeveloped continent. So we are saying together we can reshape the destiny of tourism within our global context.
Okay, that's beautiful. And where are you headquartered at the moment?
We just launched our commissioning. We've just launched our secretariat offices in the Kingdom of Eswatini. That's where our head office is, with the support of the Ministry of Tourism, the minister in particular. We have stood with ATB with his vision to say, how do we work together as a continent so that we can sell Africa in a holistic approach to our global populace?
Okay, very nice, very nice. What do you think is the biggest misconception that, people around the world may be having when it comes to African tourism in general?
Yes, the misconception, which I believe is a myth, It's where Africa is perceived as not a safe destiny for tourists, instability, and I have always said, when you look at the global community, we've got about 7 continents of the world. Mm-hmm. Each continent has its own dynamites. Each continent has its own challenges. I have been to the UK, where I was advised to be careful when I walk around at night. I have been to the United States. Same applies. There are places where you cannot just move freely. Same applies with Africa. You do have those places where you are not really comfortable to be walking freely. So each and every continent presents its own challenges. And with Africa as well, there is no better place to relax than in Africa. I was in Senegal a month or 2 months ago. That was during the peak of the COVID pandemic. And guess what? I was able to engage with a number of tourists who came from Belgium to find solace and refuge in Senegal. These are good stories to tell. And we need to focus on the good part of it, on the positives, so that we can all reshape, and all of us, we should actually be able to enjoy the benefits that comes with our tourism space.
Very true, very true. So that's a question that I actually want to ask you. As the African Tourist Board, like the African Tourism Board, what do you all do as an organization to change this misconception that people may be having?
We have always said that Africa must be able to write their own narrative. Mm-hmm. Africa should be able to write their own story. Yes, we appreciate the international media, your CNN and all those platforms. We appreciate them, but they haven't told our stories. We are in Africa. We enjoy Africa. We know what is in Africa. So therefore, the world should be able to listen to what Africans are saying about their own destinations. Mm-hmm. Our advocacy and our drive is to say, how do we tell a good story about Africa? And we can only tell that good story when we join hands together. And I would want to invite you to come to Africa and indulge yourself and enjoy our diversity and enjoy our flora and enjoy what we have in Africa. It is the most beautiful continent that surpasses. No continent can surpass what Africa offers today. So it is an invitation that is coming to you. It must start with you and me today to tell a positive story about Africa as a destination of choice.
Wow, very nice. Great. Yeah, I'm very tempted. I just want to fly to Africa already.
Come. We really appreciate. We are going to send an invitation on the 28th of March. Yes, 22nd of March. We are hosting a continental global cultural event. Guess where we are going to be hosting that? It will be in Zanzibar, the most beautiful, the jewel of Africa. We will send an invitation. Come so that you can see for yourself and be able to tell the world what you have experienced in Africa.
Very nice. We can write a new story for Africa. Actually, see, I feel like the stories that have been told are just 0.1% of the stories that deserve to be told. Right. So there is so much more to be written and to be experienced, and that's what you're inviting people to do. That's so beautiful. So what, according to you, is the biggest selling point for Africa when it comes to a tourist? Like, if I was coming into Africa, what's that one thing you will tell me to get me in?
Our culture.
Okay.
We are a continent that is so proud of our culture and our diversity. Imagine if you bring 24, not even 55, just 24, group us together, each and everyone coming in display of what we have in terms of our heritage, in terms of our culture. Just recently, we were actually invited by His Majesty to participate during the Amarula Festival. Amarula Festival is an annual event that has been commissioned by His Majesty, the King of Eswatini. The last 2 days of the Amarula Sun, it attracted more than 20,000 participants, and you had battalions of women who were displaying their diversity. That on its own, it mesmerizes one's appetite to say, Africa, what's going on? I can't even talk about our beautiful weather. That will enable you, when you visit our parks, where under the African sky, you are able to enjoy and count the stars and count the moon, enjoying the most beautiful environment. Africa, by the way, I have been invited to Rwanda, where we will be actually naming the gorillas. Where you come closer to gorillas, where you come closer to nature at its best, there is so much to offer. Zanzibar, the jewel of Africa, where we have crystal clear waters, where you can look and see what is underneath. We have so much infrastructure that will actually take a tourist heart closer to Mother Nature. By the way, that's why I'm saying we will extend an invitation, and I'm going to take you to a hotel that is built in the ocean, under the ocean, where in your room you'll be enjoying communicating with sharks and other mammals that exist in this. The list goes on and on and on and on. Tanzania, where Serengeti, where you have the migration of zebras, of buffaloes, thousands in their thousands. And this is what God has afforded us. Come and enjoy Africa.
Beautiful, beautiful. Like, I think you've just, this is better than any advertisement I can get. You've just sold me in. I've never gotten the chance to actually travel to Africa, but now I'm very tempted to go. What according to you is a must-visit destination? I'm just talking about a place that maybe it is very underrated. People don't know much about it. There are a few places in Africa that people really know, but there are some which are very underrated. So can you give me an underrated destination like this in Africa?
I think you're putting me on the spot.
Yeah, I definitely am.
Representing multiple member states.
Okay.
And then I am then told to identify one destination.
No, but I'm just asking you about your personal favorite. It doesn't have to be from a business perspective. Just your personal favorite for your personality.
Yes, I will give you one or two.
Okay.
The Kingdom of Eswatini is the most exhilarating destination.
Okay.
When I was there a couple of weeks ago, I was booked in a hotel that is built in between the mountains.
Okay.
I will wake up in the morning. It's nature at its best. The only sound you hear there, it is the sound of the bird. It is the sound of the waterfall. It is the sound of a river that actually flows right behind your window. Every morning I will wake up at 4:30. I will start doing my jogs and I will climb the formation of rock formations. I will navigate my way through. It is a destination never to be missed. Not only counting that, you have an entertainment where they come and showcase what Eswatini culture is all about. So it is one of the best destinations I would recommend. And from there, remember, you are able to, that's why we are promoting Africa holistically. We're putting Africa in a single basket. so that we are able to tell the world what they can benefit. We have said, when you visit Eswatini, you are able to drive and explore South Africa. It's just a few minutes drive. You are able to drive to Botswana. And by the way, in Botswana, it is one country that has 4 nations joined together. You are able to visit Botswana and also visit Zimbabwe and also visit Zambia and visit Namibia in a single day. That is the beauty of Africa. It brings you together and it brings us together. That's why we are saying, let's synergize and create a collaboration in all these countries so that they sell the destination not as member states but as regions, so that they become the preferred destination of choice, both for tourists and also for investment. Opportunities are so huge in Africa in terms of investment within the tourism space. We have so much opportunities that should be explored by our international guests and international investors.
Yeah, that's right. I think, Cuthbert, you've actually given me the perfect answer to this, because, see, I was asking you for one destination, but you told me, you actually in your answer proved that, you know, how the African Tourism Board is collaborating, is synergizing the efforts of the different member states to create one experience. And I think your answer has just proved that. You've just told us how to go from one place to another, and it's such a beautiful answer. I love that. You've just answered it in the most perfect way possible.
No, thank you so much, Neha. It's look, each and every continent has its own unique and its own diversity. But I have observed other continents, and I've done justice to say what we have in Africa in comparison to what the other continents have. I've failed to get a continent that will present itself in so much to offer to the global community. And by the way, we will be hosting the first continental cultural event that will actually bring about 27 member states under one African sky, where we are saying we are going to be celebrating our diversity. I get excited when you talk about culture. You should have told me, otherwise I would have put my African gear, which I'm so proud of. Okay. So we are going to bring about 27 member states under one African sky. Okay. Apart from the cultural event we're having next month in May in Zanzibar. What I'm saying is we are working around the clock as African Tourism Board to say, as much as the pandemic has caused so much havoc and so much devastation in our lives, we have lost our loved ones, but life should go on. We have said it is a period that has afforded us time to rethink, time to regroup, and time to reflect as well. We have learned so much lessons during the COVID-19. I'm sure everybody, including yourself, we have learned so much. And the approach is not going to be the same. It's not going to be business as usual. We need to create mechanisms that will enable us to really move and shift from the positive, from the negative cloud. So Africa, that's where we are. We are saying, colleagues, it's time to reshape, it's time to regroup, it's time to synergize. Collaborations should be the main objective across the spectrum to say, how do we move together? By the way, remember, together we are stronger, but individually we are weaker. That is why when you look at what is going on, across the globe, and what's happening in Russia, what's happening in Ukraine, the European, the Americans, they have regrouped together to say, Ukraine individually, you cannot stand. We are rallying behind. So that's the advantage of unifying each and everyone's resolve. So within the tourism space, I have said tourism is all about smiles. It's all about joy. It's all about reunion. It's all about bringing. This is exactly tourism at its best. What we are doing, this dialogue, it's a dialogue that brings us together across the continent, wherever you are. It brings us together. It's all about tourism. So we need to start to appreciate tourism, and it's the only catalyst sector that drives the economies of the world. It's all about, when you talk about oil, it's all about tourism. People, they should be taken from one place to another. We fly. It's all about tourism. So these forms are just value chains that feeds to the main tourism sector. So I love tourism. I enjoy tourism. And we are saying, let's take and appreciate tourism at its best. But we need to make sure that we domesticize our tourism, our domestic populace, our community. That's our emphasis as well as African Tourism Board, to say, as much as we appreciate the international travels and so forth, but how much of a percentage does being planted to the communities who are, by the way, custodians of all these national parks, custodians of our heritage sites? We are saying we need to work together, all about teamwork and team spirit. Tourism is about love. Tourism is about laughter. Tourism is about enjoying. Tourism is about having breakfast in the morning. It's all about tourism. So I'm excited. I get excited.
I like the passion with which you said tourism is love and life and all of that. Very nice. I love it. How would you actually be able to quantify the success or measure the success of the operations and of all the efforts that the African Tourism Board is putting in? How would you quantify this?
Look, we are so excited. I just came back from the World Tourism Market, Africa, that was hosted in Cape Town, where, as part of our initiatives as well as African Tourism Board, we brought a number of ministers together to say, colleagues, let's really start talking to one another. That on its own is a milestone to us. If you are able to bring all the practitioners within the tourism space under one roof, so that we then open up discussions. So it's one of our pinnacles in our endeavors to say, let's really let's unveil our continent. Your question, I mean, during the course of this engagement, to say, what stories do you have in Africa that will most probably motivate you, Neha, to be able to visit Africa? We can only do that not through CNN. No, you cannot. We need to have our own mediums, and this is the medium, because I'm talking from experience point of view to say Africa is open for business. So we have managed to bring together strategic partners to work together within the tourism. And I just came from a meeting now where we've been discussing with the organizers of the event in Zanzibar, where as African Tourism Board as well being identified as one of the strong pillars, especially in the reshape of the tourism sector. How do we work together? So that, to me, it's an indication of what we have done and contributed as an organization. We, by the way, we are not 20 years old. I mean, we only 3 years old. But in essence, what we have done on the ground, one would think that we are 40 years operating in this space. So we have managed to bring quite a number of players together to say, how do we join the puzzle? How do we work hand in hand so that we achieve our goal, especially in promoting our diversity, our different destinations? But how do we promote them? We promote in a holistic where we are presenting Africa in a single basket.
Very nice. Okay, great. And what is your vision for the future of the African Tourism Board? So like you said, it's been 3 years and you're focusing on quality of the work done. So what is your vision probably 10 years down the line?
When you look at the agenda items of the Africa Union, where you have agenda items up to 2063, the main ones is to say, how do we speak with one voice? How do we capitalize, especially the tourism sector, as a contributor towards sustainability and towards bringing our communities? That's why my emphasis as well was to say, how do we start appreciating our community-based tourism? Tourism should be community-oriented. How do we benefit them? So that's the objective, and that's of the African Union. And we are saying, as implementers, we need to walk the talk. We need to work with them to make sure that we achieve that goal within a time frame that will actually be accomplished while I'm still alive, not 2063. Maybe 2063, I would have ran my race. Maybe I would be resting in my little mud grave. But we need to make sure that some of these things, let's implement them now. And also, within the investment, we are saying, as much as we appreciate our international investors, but the focus shouldn't be on job creation. We don't want job creation, but we need the transfer of skills. When they have come to Africa to invest, we need to see and measure, how do our communities benefit? Even those who have been actually been able to be accommodated in terms of job creation. We need to see a transfer of skills so that at the end of it all, that's why we're talking about sustainability. We need to make sure that when he leaves your organization, he should be able to go out and create more jobs. That's what we need as Africa, and that is our advocacy as the African Tourism Board. Look, I have always said within the media fraternity, you are the advocates of peace. You are the advocates of unity. You are the advocates of love. Therefore, our plea and my plea, where I am sitting as the executive chair of the African Tourism Board, is to have a unity of purpose, to say, how do we present our world as the best place to be? You can't be in space, by the way. You are in this world. How do we reshape? How do we portray a positive image? Remember, the more you focus on the negatives, you yourself, you become negative. So we need to move from the negative narrative to a positive narrative. So my plea is to say, within the media, please let us tell a good story. Visit these continents. I mean, when I talk about continents, I'm not talking of Africa. I'm talking of other continents. Let's visit them. Let's explore. Let's feel how they live. Let's understand. Thereafter, we will start to appreciate art. Africa, that's where my passion is. And my mentor, Dr. Taleb, always says, life originated in Africa. We all came from Africa. Our diversity, when we talk about diversity in the African context, we are saying, if I could bring it closer home, I am black and you are Indian, I suppose, and he is white. God created us in such a way that at the end of the day, when he sits in his throne, when he looks down upon us, he smiles, just like a mother who has a garden of roses. I have seen my grandmother used to have a garden of roses. And during the springtime, she will admire the roses. Some of the roses will be white, some will be pink, and some will be red. She loved them as they are because they presented a collective aroma. So therefore, within the tourism space, we are all joined together with one umbilical cord. We are all brothers and sisters. Therefore, let us appreciate. Therefore, let us walk together and enjoy what God has done. Over and above, please, I'm inviting you, come to Zanzibar next month. We will extend an invitation. That's where you will experience what Africans have, what that lovely country presents. When you come there, I'll be able to take you to Tanzania, their neighboring country. I'll be able to take you to Kenya and enjoy and come closer into proximity with our nature. I'm inviting you, let her come to Africa and tell a good story. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much. It's been so nice speaking to you. Have a great day, and thank you so much for taking the time out to come speak to us.
Thank you so much. The pleasure is mine.